Through doing parkour for like just over a half of a decade now, I find that it's one of the sports with the most misconceptions. People think that parkour is just climbing up on something and flipping off of it. Parkour doesn't involve flips at all, technically. Sometimes it can involve a front flip, sometimes. But that's about it. Today we're going to be answering the most Googled questions about parkour. Totally original idea. I just came up with on my own. I think it'll be a pretty nice format, so let's do it. Parkour games? I don't think I can answer that. What parkour? What parkour means? Parkour is some people call it a sport, some people don't. I call it a sport. It's a sport where basically the goal is to get from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible. Not the coolest way possible. Coolest way possible is free running, and that's where you try to get through your environment in a very stylistic way. There's a lot of flips, there's a lot of cool looking movements. In parkour, the only goal is to get from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible. So basically scaling objects, going under them in the best way. We do this through a lot of different methods. There's wall running, vaults, freeze. What parkour do TikTokers use? I don't know what that means. What's the point of parkour? The point of parkour, it's fun. It can be used to save your life in a lot of situations. If you're running from someone, if you do parkour, you're at a massive advantage. You can get through your environment in a lot better of a way. Is parkour illegal? Depends on where you are. If you're on private property and they don't want you doing shit there, then yeah. But in most cases, if you're on public property, you'll be fine. If the cops ask you to leave, then just leave and you'll usually be fine. It's kind of like skating in that sense. Next, is parkour a sport? Depends on who you're asking. If you're asking a moron, then they'll say no. If you're asking a smart, intellectual person, then they'll say yes, obviously. Is parkour dangerous? That really depends on if you are well trained or not. If you're well trained and you have all your basics down perfect, then it can be dangerous if you're training outside of your limits. But if you're training within your limits, you know what you're doing, you know how to bail, then no, it is not really dangerous. Obviously, there's always your risk in any physical activity of getting hurt, but if you're training properly, then it's just as safe as pretty much any other sport. Is parkour legal? Yeah, most of the time. Is parkour an Olympic sport? Not really. There's the professional tag thing, which takes a lot of elements from parkour. It's very similar. There are competitions, Red Bull Art of Motion competitions, but no, it is not in the Olympics. Is parkour a martial art? It is not. Is parkour still popular? Kind of. I like to think it is. I don't know if it ever really was popular, but how parkour started. It was started through, what's his name? It was started by David Bell in, I believe, the 80s. His dad taught him a lot of the basic movements, and then he kind of refined them, and he brought them all together into what we now know as parkour. How parkour Minecraft? I don't know, I'm not a loser, so I don't know much about that. How parkour died? I like to think it didn't die, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it did. How parkour practice? I'm assuming that means how to practice parkour. It really depends. If you don't have a gym near you, then you can just basically go outside in your own yard and you can practice some of the basic movements. If you look up how to parkour guide or whatever, Ronnie Street Stunts, he is one of my favorite channels. He is super informative. He makes a lot of educational parkour tutorials and stuff like that. If you have a gym near you, then I think the best way to practice is to go there to start taking some classes. Parkour, how to long jump. There's two different ways. There's a precision jump and there's the stride jump. With a precision jump, you start with both of your feet right next to each other. You bring your arms back and you throw your arms forward as you extend your legs. Make sure you keep your chest up the whole time. And then you bring your legs in front of you and you land on the balls of your feet on the edge of whatever object you're landing on. Stride jump, very similar concept. Once again, keep your chest up. The only difference is you will run into it and jump off of usually your non-dominant leg. Swing your dominant leg forward, throw your arms up again. Keep your chest up the whole time, and then once again, land both of your feet together on the balls of your feet on the edge of the object. Parkour, how to open doors.